Attraction in love is not a random phenomena. When you feel moved by someone, it rarely comes only from appearance or a few charming gestures. In fact, that attraction often reflects images, memories, and even unconscious imprints from childhood. Many psychologists believe that people are often drawn to those who resemble their parents. But why is that? Does it mean we are trying to recreate our earliest relationships? Or is it a repetition of lessons left unresolved? And today, we will analyze and explore the mysteries surrounding this subject. Most of what you perceive about love begins with how your parents treated you. If you grew up in a warm environment, you become familiar with care and kindness, and you tend to seek a partner with similar qualities. Conversely, if your childhood was harsh, you might also be attracted to those who repeat that pattern, even if it hurts you. The question is, why would we choose a path that brings us pain once again? The answer lies in the unconscious. Jung suggested that people carry an archetypal image of the father or mother within their psyche. This image does not disappear as you grow up. It continues to live on in your choices of love. It makes you feel familiar when you meet someone who resembles your parent, whether through their eyes, their voice, or their behavior. Have you noticed how familiarity has a unique power of attraction? Even when familiarity is not necessarily good, it still provides a sense of safety. People often say, "I don't know why, but being around this person feels like I've known them before." It is precisely this feeling that keeps many people falling into relationships that echo the presence of their parents. Jung clearly distinguished between the personal unconscious and the collective unconscious. In the personal unconscious, childhood memories, especially those related to parents, leave deep imprints. In the collective unconscious, we carry archetypes, ancient patterns of the mother, the father, the lover, transmitted through generations. This means that when you feel drawn to someone, it is not only your personal memories directing you, but also those archetypal images from the collective unconscious. A man may carry the shadow of the strict father in your psyche. A woman may awaken the nurturing mother archetype you once lacked, and it is this blend of personal memory and collective imagery that makes emotions so intense. Do you recognize that sometimes you cannot explain why you are pulled towards someone? Rationality finds no reason, yet the unconscious is working powerfully. This is exactly what Jung emphasized. Love is never just a conscious choice. It is always guided by invisible forces beneath the surface of the mind. When looking at women's psychology, we can clearly see the influence of the father-daughter relationship. A woman raised by a loving and caring father may easily be drawn to men who are gentle, protective, and patient. In contrast, a woman whose childhood was marked by a distant or cold father often falls into similar relationships even though they do not bring her happiness. Why is that? Because deep down, she is trying to resolve an old wound. Perhaps her unconscious tells her if this time she can turn a distant man into a loving one, then her childhood wound will finally be healed. But in reality, that rarely happens. She simply repeats the old cycle. The key question is, how can one break free from this cycle? Jung believed the first step is to recognize the shadow, the dark part of the psyche, where unresolved memories and emotions reside. When a woman realizes she is searching for her father's image in the men she loves, she can begin to ask herself, am I truly loving this man, or am I only loving the familiarity he evokes? People often confuse familiarity with safety. When you meet someone resembling your parent, you feel secure because the sensation is familiar, as though you have experienced it before. But familiarity does not equal safety. It is simply a loop. The mind knows too well, even if that loop brings suffering. This explains why many women say they know a relationship is not good for them, yet they cannot leave. They are not necessarily bound by love, but by the sense of familiarity deeply rooted in their unconscious. They mistake it for certainty, for stability. In truth, it is a psychological trap. Have you ever wondered why you tend to walk down the same path, even when it leads to exhaustion? John would say, because you have not faced your inner wound. Your mind repeats the familiar to try again, hoping for a different outcome. But usually, the outcome remains the same because you have not changed. You are only replaying old images. Another concept from Jung that helps explain this attraction is anima and animus. Within every man lies a hidden feminine side called anima, and within every woman lies a hidden masculine side called animus. These images are shaped and nurtured by parents. A woman develops her animus largely from her relationship with her father, while a man forms his anima from his relationship with his mother. As adults, we often unconsciously project these images onto the opposite sex. A man may feel attracted to a woman who represents the anima within his psyche. A woman may be drawn to a man who reflects the animus she once knew on. Often, that is the father's image. The question is, are you loving the actual person in front of you? Or are you loving the projection from your unconscious? If you love the projection, the relationship often cannot last because you will eventually realize the other person does not perfectly match the image in your head. But if you can recognize and move beyond projection, you have the chance to love someone with greater awareness and freedom. A hard truth is that many love relationships do not stem solely from the desire for happiness, but from the need to heal old wounds. Women often carry wounds tied to the father, perhaps neglect, over-control, or distance as adults. They are drawn to men who resemble him as an unconscious attempt to complete what was missing in childhood. Yet, love is not obligated to heal what childhood left behind. Many women fall into tragedy by expecting a man to give them the recognition they never received from their father. But that rarely happens. Instead of healing, the wound often deepens. Jung would remind us, only when you face the wound directly, rather than trying to repeat it, can you be truly free. This requires courage, because it means accepting that childhood left voids no one can fill except yourself. When a woman is drawn to a man resembling her father, there are usually two possibilities. She loves from freedom, or she loves from lack. Understands her tendency toward familiar patterns, but still chooses a partner who matches her present values and desires. Loving from lack is different. It means the attraction comes from an inner emptiness, an unmet need, and love becomes a way to fill that gap. You may wonder, how do you tell the difference? One important sign is the level of peace you feel in the relationship. If you love from freedom, love does not bring constant tension. You do not feel the need to prove or conquer. It is complementary, not rescuing. On the other hand, if you love from lack, you are always anxious, as if the relationship is the only way to complete yourself. The danger is that loving from lack makes you repeat the cycles of the past. You are not truly seeing your partner as they are, but only seeing them as a chance to fill your childhood void. In that case, you are not loving a real person, but an unconscious symbol. If the unconscious is so powerful, can you escape it? This is the core question many people wrestle with. Jung believed you can, but not by denying it, by confronting it. You must realize that you are drawn to familiar patterns, and then ask, what am I really seeking in this person? Is it love or just a repetition of the past? Self-awareness plays the decisive role. Only when you dare to look inside will you uncover the true motives behind your attraction, and when you see them, you can choose differently. Instead of seeking healing through another person, you learn to heal yourself. Escaping the repetition does not mean you stop loving. It only means you begin to love with open eyes, no longer blindly driven by the unconscious. You can choose a relationship that brings growth and freedom, instead of one that simply mirrors old lacks. For women, attraction to a man resembling the father is not always negative. It only becomes problematic when you are unaware of it. If you were fortunate to have a loving, kind father, that attraction might lead you to a healthy relationship. But if your memory of your father is tied to pain, repeating it may bring relationships full of suffering. Therefore, awareness is the key. You must ask, am I choosing this person because he truly fits me, or because he reminds me of my father. The question is not easy, but only by daring to raise it can you gradually free yourself from the grip of the past. In reality, many women mature most when they realize love is not a way to repair childhood, but a chance to build the present. They learn to see their partner as an independent individual, not a reenactment of the father, and at that point, love becomes truly free. This attraction is not always a trap. In many cases, it can be an opportunity for growth when you are aware enough to recognize childhood influences. You can use the relationship itself to confront yourself. For example, if you had a strict and emotionally distant father, loving a man with similar traits might awaken your fear of abandonment or of not being loved. But if you become conscious of this, instead of just enduring it, you can learn to express your needs, voice your desires, and not let yourself be consumed by lack. In this way, the relationship becomes a place of growth, not blind repetition. The key question is, do you dare to admit that your love is tied to the past, and then turn it into a chance for change? If so, the relationship will bring not only happiness, but also self-discovery. A practical step to free yourself from the unconscious is to learn to separate love from memory. You must understand that today's love has no obligation to replay yesterday's story. The person you love is not your father. He may have similarities, but he is not a replica. When you see this difference, you gain more choices. Instead of being driven by memory, you can listen to your real needs today. Do you want peace or drama? Do you want a mature companion or someone who keeps you chasing recognition? The answer will shape how you love. We have traveled a long way to understand why you are drawn to someone resembling your parents. From childhood roots, the personal and collective unconscious, to Jung's concepts of anima and animus, all point to one truth. Love is never simple. It always carries the shadows of the past, especially for women. The relationship with the father can shape how they love, how they choose a partner, and the wounds they carry. But this is not a life sentence. It can be an opportunity for awareness, for growth, for learning to love without being bound by old lacks. Attraction to someone resembling your parents can be a dangerous cycle, but it can also be a doorway to understanding yourself. The key lies in awareness. Are you loving from freedom or from lack? Are you truly seeing your partner or only seeing your past through them? In this journey, what matters is not to deny the fact that childhood influences love, but to learn how to recognize and accept it. When you are courageous enough to face the unconscious, your love will be less about blind repetition and more about clarity and freedom. If these reflections have been meaningful to you, let them continue to flow outward By sharing, connecting, or simply staying with future conversations, you are contributing to a space where love is understood with greater maturity and honesty.